It's locked. Looks like I need a special tool.
What have you got?
Talk to you later.
You better.
Can't go outside until the train stops.
More questions?
I'll touch bases with you later.
My publisher thanks you.
Sickly Sarah caught a germ so new, it made one of her pretty green eyes turn blue.
What's up?
I'll let you get back to work.
Take care.
The Little Book of Samplers. That square and that duck look very familiar. Looks like to make this thing, whatever it is, I'm going to need a spyglass, a pickaxe, and a lamp. Citrine, amethyst, zircon, those are all gemstones, I think. Silver. What do all those colors have to do with silver? I need a lamp. I need a spyglass. According to that diagram I found, those 6 gemstones are supposed to go in these 6 holders, but I have no idea which one goes where. Wonder what's supposed to go here. Looks like I need to enter 8 letters into this thing. The question is, which 8 letters? Lori?
Oh my gosh! I never thought you'd be the one to find me. No offense. Nadine?
Nancy. Nancy Drew.
Well, as you can see, I wasn't really spirited away by ghosts or anything. That bookshelf in the dining car, you step on this thing in the floor in there, and it slides open. I practiced disappearing for weeks.
So it was just all for show?
Well, not entirely. See, here's the deal. My dad wound up with this train when he bought out Noram Shipping. They'd been storing it in this old warehouse outside St. Louis for so long that everybody had just forgotten about it. Anyway, after mass begging on my part, Dad had the train restored to working condition and got me an engineer and track permits and all that other stuff until finally, here we are, on our way to find out what happened to Jake Hurley.
Why do you need a train to find out what happened to him?
Well, see, I was one of the first people in 100 years to set foot on this train, okay? Everything was just the way it was when Jake disappeared. Except I also found this. It's a letter that Jake wrote in 1901 to his niece back east. He was real paranoid about claim jumpers, which is why he never told anyone where his mine was. But he was also afraid something would happen to him and no one would ever know where it was. So he wrote this letter to his only living relative, Ruth Kensington. Here, take it.
You want me to have it? Why?
Because you found me. See, in that letter, Jake tells Ruth that everything she needs to figure out where his mine is on this train. He also warns her that his wife's spirit is on the train too, which kind of creeps me out. But the thing is, to find Jake's lost mine, we need the train.
How do you know this Ruth person didn't find the mine decades ago?
Mostly because I found that letter in the wastebasket. It was like she'd gotten so ticked off, trying to follow her nutty uncle's clues, that she finally said to heck with the whole thing.
So you want me to try to figure out where the mine is?
Uh-huh. As for the other people on board, if you want to show them that letter, go ahead. It's totally up to you. We're going to Copper Gorge because that's where Jake buried Camille, so I figured his mine might be somewhere around there too. But if you think we need to go somewhere else, you just let me know and I'll have the engineer take us there.
How come you didn't try to find the mine yourself?
Maybe I did. Or maybe I just thought letting other people try to find it would be a good excuse to throw a party. I like parties.
How well do you know your guests?
Well, I don't know you or those Harvey guys at all.
Hardy. Frank and Joe Hardy.
Whatever. I didn't know John Gray before this either, but I love his show, and I figured he'd jump at the chance to investigate an honest-to-goodness haunted train, and now that someone has finally found me, I can finally go meet him for real.
What about Tino Balducci?
I met Tino right after he got famous for solving those robberies. Inviting him here for this was a no-brainer. I mean, what an awesome detective. And those piercing eyes of his, you just know his mind's in there going 90 miles an hour.
How well do you know Charlena Purcell?
I just know her from her books, which are so good. In fact, I just started reading her latest one, The Moon Tells No Lies. See, what I'd really like to do is write romance novels. Everybody who knows me says I'd be really good at it. In fact, a while back, I sent Charlena some ideas, just to see what she thought.
And?
She hated them.
Bye.
I'll be waiting.
Locked, naturally. I wonder how you open it. Looks like a dance floor, maybe? I can use this to open that grate I saw in Camille's car. Wilson Carbide and Acetylene Works. Always your friend, Thomas Wilson. Looks like a pattern for some kind of dance step. Maybe I'd better keep this.
Well, it's the little lady detective. What do you need?
I found Lori. She was hiding in the caboose.
Oh, yeah?
She disappeared because she wanted to see who'd find her first, which is why she left that clue behind.
That slug? I mean, I knew that slug was a clue. That's why I gave it to you. I mean, I could have found Lori no sweat, but I thought, hey, why not give somebody else a shot? And you came through. Nice job.
Thank you.
But look, from now on, if you come across anything that may have something to do with Jake Hurley and his mind, let me know, okay? Just so I can, give you advice, help you sort things out. After all, the opportunity to work side by side with a world-famous police detective doesn't come along every day, you know.
How did you and Lori meet?
We met at a party in New York. Nice girl. Not a lot upstairs, but nice girl.
Did you two go out?
Nope, no, never went out. No.
What do you think happened to Jake Hurley?
He probably died trying to work that mine of his all by himself. But I'll let you in on a secret. I'm onto something that could crack this case wide open.
You know where the mine is?
Sorry, can't go into detail. Let's just say that thanks to yours truly, what happened to Jake Hurley won't be a mystery much longer.
Do you think I could take a closer look at that cougar statue?
What, that cigar clipper? Go ahead, take a look.
I'll bet I need this stone to build that thing in the diagram I found. But if I remove it now, Tina will know I'm onto something. Interesting. I just wanted to get a good look at it, that's all.
What else can I do for you?
You've been a big help.
Anything for a fellow detective.
What's up?
I found Lori safe and sound in the caboose, so I guess those vibes you got about her being in serious trouble were wrong.
Strange. My vibes are never wrong. What's even stranger is I'm still getting them. So maybe they're not about Lori. Maybe they're about you.
I'm confused. Are you a scientist or a psychic?
I happen to be both. What's commonly referred to as psychic phenomena is all a matter of energy. Just because we don't know where that energy is generated or how to measure it yet, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Trust me, either you or Lori is, or soon will be, in big trouble.
Could you be more specific?
Unfortunately, no.
I won't keep you any longer.
Pleasure talking to you.
It's locked. That tool I saw in the caboose. I bet that's what you used to unscrew these bolts. More pipes to connect. Here we go.
Yes?
I found Lori. She's in the caboose. You were right. She disappeared because she wanted to see which of us would find her first.
And you won. Congratulations.
Did you know that Lori wants to be a romance novelist?
Doesn't everyone?
Have you discussed any of her ideas with her?
No. Could we please talk about something a little more pleasant?
I'll let you get back to your writing.
Let me know if you run across anything juicy.
Nancy, what's with the Cheshire Cat grin?
You found Lori.
Yep, she's holed up in the caboose, and as a reward for finding her, she let me have this. It's a letter from Jake to his niece in which he leaves clues telling her how to find his mine. Only the clues are extremely obtuse.
You found Lori, you got the letter with all the clues. Guess you don't need us anymore.
Oh, Joe, quit pouting. Want any help?
Are you kidding? You bet I do.
Now you're talking.
Balducci wants me to share everything I find out about Jake Hurley with him.
I'll bet he does.
He just doesn't want you to show him up again.
Yeah, he wants you to do all the legwork so at the last minute, bam, he can swoop in and grab all the credit.
I wouldn't tell him a thing, Nance.
Unless it's to get lost.
It stands to reason that the only person other than Jake who had to have known the location of Jake's mine was the engineer on Jake's train.
Very true.
Not necessarily. Jake might not have told him the exact location. Maybe he just had him drop him off somewhere nearby.
Well, still, we'd be way ahead of the game if we knew where that drop-off point was.
If the engineer had any surviving relatives, we may be in luck.
The guy died more than 100 years ago. How are we supposed to find out his name?
Maybe Charlena What's-Her-Face could tell us how to go about it.
Good idea, Frank. I'll ask her. I found a diagram for some kind of contraption that Jake designed, but to operate it, you need his pickaxe and some kind of lamp or lantern, which it looks like he gave to somebody named Buell.
Buell? Joe, show her!
Show her what?
That old picture we found!
Okay.
We found this on the bookshelf. See? Buell's Supplies and Pawn Shop. That's gotta be the same Buell Jake gave his axe and lantern to.
Yeah, 100 years ago. And the guy was a pawnbroker, Frank. The stuff's probably long gone.
Or maybe it's still somewhere in Copper Gorge.
Well, that's where we're headed, so let's just hope for the best.
Right.
Talk to you later.
You better.
Engineer, this better be Miss Gerard.
Well, actually...
Forget it.
More questions?
How would I go about finding out the name of Jake's train engineer?
If you're smart, you'd ask me. And because my work is going surprisingly well, during my next break, I'll log onto my archives at home and see what I can turn up.
That'd be great, thank you.
Whoever invented the cellular modem, that's whom you should thank, dear.
Well, I'll let you go.
That would be nice.
Somebody must have thrown the emergency brake.
The question is, did somebody throw the brake? Or something?
Oh, Joe, now you sound like Lori.
Hey, I was the first one on the scene, and I saw no one.
What did the engineer say?
He said the train could have derailed. He reset the brake, muttered a few choice words, then headed back to the engine just as you and Lori showed up.
Everybody was there except Charlena. I don't think she left her laptop the whole time.
Do you think she could have thrown the brake and snuck back to her laptop without your seeing her?
Not likely, but possible, I guess.
The question is, why? What did she or anybody else stand to gain by stopping the train?
Answer? Nothing. Which is why I think we should at least consider the possibility that something less human in nature may be at work here.
Ah, Joe.
I'm going to see if Balducci's done dusting for fingerprints. Catch you later.
Engineer,
Hi, I'm Nancy Drew. I talked to you before, very briefly.
you're not the one who pulled the emergency brake, are ya?
No.
Good. Because if you were, I'd have to come back there and throttle you. Old as this train is, it's a wonder it stayed on the tracks.
Is there any way that brake could have been activated accidentally?
You pull on the handle, the wheels lock. You don't pull on the handle, they don't lock. Did somebody pull on the handle by mistake? I guess it's possible, but if you ask me, anybody that stupid has no business being on a train, or anywhere else for that matter. Now, if you don't mind, I gotta get back to work.
More questions?
Would you like to see the letter that Lori gave me as a reward for finding her?
The one in which Jake Hurley supposedly tells his niece how to find his lost mine? No, thank you. I happily leave it to you to try to solve the mystery of his disappearance. You can afford to look foolish, dear. I can't.
Do you have a theory as to who pulled the emergency brake?
Well, I know it wasn't me. I assume it wasn't you, and I highly doubt it was Lori. So that leaves those two friends of yours, Mr. Gray and Mr. Balducci.
Have you run across many haunted train stories in the course of your research?
A few, but most train-bound ghosts that I've come across seem to have better things to do than sit around pulling emergency brakes.
Were you able to find the name of Jake's train engineer?
I came across 3 references to the fact that Jake had an engineer, but I'm afraid none of them included his name. I failed. Sorry.
Aren't you even going to try finding out what happened to Jake Hurley?
No time. The only reason I haven't insisted that Lori release me from all this silliness is there's always the possibility that what happened to him has the makings of a bestseller, although I highly doubt it.
Why are you so sure that Jake's story wouldn't make a bestseller?
His story is an all too common one. A man wanders off into the desert in search of gold and never returns. Why? He either doesn't have enough food or water, or he encounters hostile natives.
What about his wife, Camille, dying on the train like that?
That does make the story a little more interesting. She probably died of something mundane like pneumonia or even measles. Now, if it was wintertime when she died, and they were in the mountains, Jake no doubt kept her body on the train for months before he buried her, which is rather delicious in a morbid sort of way.
How do you think Jake's engineer wound up dead on the train in the middle of nowhere?
My guess is the engineer got tired of waiting for Jake to return, took off in the train to get help, and died of a heart attack along the way, after which the train rolled to a stop in Blue Moon Canyon. Anyone experienced enough to single-handedly run a steam engine would have been quite a bit older than Jake.
I'll let you get back to your writing.
Remember, if it's juicy, I want to know about it.
Looks like Tino's through dusting for fingerprints.
What's up?
So are you making any progress in here?
Oh yeah, not only am I getting some real unusual EMRs, that's electromagnetic readings, but take a look at this.
You've got something?
I set up a camera and took some time-lapse photos. Sometimes I was in the room, sometimes I wasn't, but somewhere along the line, I managed to get a shot of Camille.
Where? You don't mean that little blob, do you?
Yep, that's Camille.
Okay.
You're skeptical. That's cool. Just remember, the key word when it comes to ghostly phenomena is energy. That blob is the result of Camille's residual life force, spirit if you will, reacting with the chemicals in the photographic paper.
Couldn't it just be a flaw in the photographic paper?
Okay, it could be that too, but it's not. Trust me.
Thanks for the chat.
Take care.
Glad you dropped in. Lori told me she'd given you a letter from Jake Hurley that says how to find his mine.
That's right. You can read it if you want.
Lori should have given that to me. I mean, I'm the trained professional around here. Let me take a look. I've seen enough. 2 words. Useless. Those are just the rantings of a guy who spent way too much of his life swirling mud around in pans under the hot sun. 5-star nut job.
Lori says she found this letter in a wastebasket.
Exactly where it belongs.
Did you find any fingerprints on the emergency brake handle?
None that were any help, thanks to Casey Jones up there. I told the old geezer not to touch anything, but he went and got his big, fat, oily paw prints all over the place. If we didn't need him to drive the train, I'd charge him with obstruction of justice.
Did you do anything else besides look for fingerprints?
Of course. As a matter of fact, I found this. Probably fell out of the perp's pocket while he was yanking on the handle.
Looks like some kind of thermometer.
Yeah, like the kind a certain ghost hunter uses on that bogus show of his.
You think John Gray threw the brake? But why would he do that?
Because they're thinking about axing his show, that's why. I checked with this buddy of mine in L.A. Gray's got to come up with something real big real soon, or he's toast. And you can't get much bigger than a train with a spooky past that's prone to strange accidents, now can ya?
Have you confronted John with your suspicions?
All in due time. I always like to get my ducks in a row before I make an arrest.
You're going to arrest him?
Hey, the train could have derailed. We're talking reckless endangerment, attempted assaults, maybe even attempted murder. John Gray wanted publicity. That's exactly what I'm gonna give him.
Hope I didn't take up too much of your time.
Anything for a fellow detective.
Carbide. Just what I need to make that lamp I found work. Jake said a pickaxe goes here. Jake said a lamp goes here. I need a lamp. If I had a spyglass, I'd put it right here. This is where a gemstone goes. I need to find the gemstone that goes here. I need to find the gemstone that goes here. I need to find the gemstone that goes here. This is where a gemstone goes. This is where a gemstone goes. I need to find the gemstone that goes here. This is where a gemstone goes. Wonder how you're supposed to get this open.
Yes?
Do you have any idea who threw the emergency brake?
I know exactly who did it.
You do?
Well, who else could it be? Camille. None of us has any reason to stop the train but Camille. She doesn't want us to find Jake's mine, so she's going to do whatever she can to keep its location a secret.
She is dead, you know.
Well, duh. That's why I know it's her. What's more, your friend, that Jim Harley guy?
Not Jim, Joe Hardy.
Yeah, well, he thinks it's Camille too. He just doesn't have the guts to say so.
I hear that Tino and you used to be an item.
How did you know that?
I'm a good detective, remember?
We went out a couple of times, yeah. As for why we stopped going out, you'd have to ask him.
Guess I better get to work.
Keep me posted.
Stay tuned for more Nancy Drew and the last train to Blue Moon Canyon.